In a vast desert landscape, where hills merge with distant skyscrapers, a radio show murmurs faintly in the background. The camera narrows its focus on a lone runner traversing the scorching expanse. This runner is revealed to be Maine, though younger and devoid of any visible chrome enhancements. A voice belonging to Dorio pierces through, pulling Maine out of a daydream or perhaps a vivid memory. His hands tremble uncontrollably, causing him to drop a food packet he received from Dorio. Dorio's concern is palpable as she watches Maine's struggle, despite his reassurances that he is fine. The heavy medication he uses to stabilize his arm is evident, and his symptoms of cyberpsychosis are glaring. Maine reacts angrily to Dorio's suggestion of downgrading his cyberware to alleviate his condition. As Maine's anger flares, the scene shifts to Falco in the same room and then to Tanaka's battered and restrained body. Kiwi is nearby, submerged in a complex data session within a bathtub. The crew's tension is high as they scramble to extract crucial information. David, troubled by Maine's erratic behavior, watches with growing concern. Maine's rage erupts violently as he attacks Kiwi, leaving her unconscious. His psychosis subsides briefly, and he is unable to recall his actions towards Kiwi. Dorio and Falco intervene to prevent further damage. In a desperate bid to acquire the necessary data, they contact Lucy at home, pleading for her assistance. Initially hesitant and fearful, Lucy agrees to join the session after David reassures her of his support. Maine suffers another psychotic episode, but Dorio manages to help him regain control. Pressure mounts with a call from Faraday, adding to their urgency. As Tanaka regains consciousness, David almost administers another tranquilizer, but is interrupted. Tanaka engages David in a brief conversation, revealing that he had advocated for David's reinstatement at the academy due to his perceived potential. Tanaka urges David to contact Arasaka and end the chaos, suspecting Militech's involvement. Meanwhile, Lucy successfully breaches the data, beginning to download valuable information, but also stumbles upon David's personal data. Panic ensues when Maine and Dorio discover Tanaka is awake. Maine snatches the tranquilizer from David, but is thwarted when Tanaka is electrocuted before he can act. Though they manage to revive Tanaka and save Lucy, Dorio reports that the jammer, intended to block trauma team notifications, has failed. They hasten to escape, with David activating the Sandevistan to speed Lucy to the parking deck. Lucy, now awake, informs David that Tanaka's data is a ruse, but David senses her fear and deceit. Amidst the chaos, Maine and Dorio struggle to move Tanaka, still convinced of his importance. They find themselves caught in a crossfire between Trauma Team and the NCPD. Maine's cyberpsychosis worsens, and he loses control. Dorio's attempt to help him ends tragically when she is shot by the police. Enveloped in his delusion, Maine kills Tanaka. Despite Lucy's warnings to escape, David leaves her in the car and rushes to support Maine, but MaxTac is closing in. Maine, resigned to his fate, prepares for a dramatic final stand, arranging ammunition in an altar-like display with Dorio's lifeless body atop it. David narrowly escapes the ensuing explosion and returns to Lucy. As they drive through the city at dawn, David clutches Maine's left cyberware arm, a grim souvenir of the night's events. David, now in charge, faces the challenge of persuading Lucy to rejoin the team as they prepare for a critical mission. Several months after Maine's death, David's crew sets out on a high-risk operation to rescue Isabella Morgan, the daughter of a wealthy businessman. They ride in an armored vehicle piloted by Falco, with Julio, a new addition to the team, gearing up for the dangerous job. David, now a renowned Edgerunner with upgraded capabilities, provides Julio with a suitable shotgun for the mission. Their objective is a heavily guarded facility packed with armed gang members and automated defenses. With Kiwi's expert hacking, Becca's impressive firepower, and David's advanced Sandevistan implant, the team quickly takes control of the compound and defeats the gang. Despite David and Becca's warnings, Julio inadvertently sets off an explosive tripwire and meets a grim fate. Their contact, Wakako, is notably impressed by their performance. During the celebration that follows, Becca flaunts her new Cyberhands augmentation, reminiscent of her late brother Pilar's extravagant style. David reflects on Lucy's absence and her hesitation to return to the crew in a conversation with Kiwi. The situation escalates when Faraday reaches out to David at the Afterlife bar, offering him a trial job for Militech, a competitor of Arasaka. David's mission is to convince Lucy to come back and take on Faraday's task. David leaves the party early to visit his Ripper doc for some adjustments. The doctor warns him about the risks of excessive augmentation, but David, whose body is increasingly chrome-enhanced, disregards the advice. Kiwi then informs David of a meeting request, leading to an important discussion with Faraday. When David returns home, he finds Lucy emerging from a net diving session. They share their day's experiences, and David pleads with her to rejoin the crew. Lucy opens up about her painful history. Raised outside Night City, she and other children were trained by Arasaka to become skilled netrunners, navigating the treacherous old net every day. A betrayal led to a rebellion, and Lucy, the lone survivor, eventually found refuge in Night City. In a later scene, an Arasaka netrunner discusses corrupted data before Lucy, who emerges from the shadows and hacks into his mind, eliminating him. As the crew faces the daunting task of Faraday's mysterious mission, Lucy struggles with her feelings for David amidst the inevitable tragedy approaching them. At the same time, both Lucy and Rebecca notice troubling changes in David's behavior, hinting at the onset of cyberpsychosis. In an Arasaka lab, a female employee, eager to end her shift early to surprise her son, who has just been accepted into Arasaka Academy, makes a horrifying discovery. Expecting a quiet evening, she instead finds David crouched in a corner, clutching a smoking gun, with Lab Director Evans lying dead beside him. The silence is shattered by the sound of another gunshot. Moments later, David meets up with his crew as they escape in their getaway vehicle. Elsewhere, in Arasaka's counterintelligence department, agents Kate and Douglas review the crew's recent actions, growing increasingly concerned about a netrunner disrupting their operations. They remain unaware that Lucy is the one responsible. Meanwhile, Faraday narrowly escapes an ambush by a group of city gangbangers, but his encounter with his Militech contact yields little more than indifference. Back at David's apartment, he and Lucy discuss the cost of a one-way trip to the moon. During their conversation, Lucy notices David's hand trembling, a clear sign of cyberpsychosis beginning to take hold. Soon after, Faraday is approached by Arasaka counterintel agents with a tempting offer: identify and capture the elusive netrunner, interfering with their operations. His mission also includes eliminating anyone connected to the Sandevistan Chrome. Concerned for David's health, Lucy reaches out to Kiwi, who unknowingly leads Faraday to them. This sparks a violent confrontation between David, Becca, and their crew against a rival gang. However, David becomes paralyzed by traumatic memories from his past, freezing at critical moments. Becca, noticing his struggle, follows him home, subtly revealing her growing concern and perhaps deeper feelings for him. David begins to suffer from vivid hallucinations and flashbacks, clear signs of his declining mental state. Lucy confronts him, pleading for him to recognize the dangers of his condition. After collapsing in front of his mother's urn, David wakes up in a Ripperdoc's clinic, where the doctor warns him of the deadly consequences of his increasing reliance on Chrome and urges him to pull back. Despite Lucy's desperate pleas for him to accept his worsening condition, their conversation escalates into an argument. The Ripperdoc prescribes David medication, but stresses that his condition is deteriorating rapidly. Feeling the strain on their relationship, David breaks up with Lucy, leaving her heartbroken. Determined to take action, Lucy tracks a netrunner's signature, unaware that Faraday and Kiwi have set a trap. In a dimly lit warehouse, Lucy confronts the netrunner, but Faraday steps out from the shadows and captures her, leaving her unconscious. She is later imprisoned, marked for delivery to Arasaka's counterintel, her fate sealed by Faraday's betrayal. The intricate web of alliances and betrayals unravels as Kiwi and Faraday reveal Lucy's true identity. Meanwhile, David and his crew gear up for a high-stakes mission that could cement their reputation as formidable Edgerunners, pitting their skills against the formidable Arasaka Corporation. In the desolate Badlands, David and his crew meticulously survey the Arasaka convoy, which is targeted for their audacious heist. The crew buzzes with a mixture of anxiety and excitement, eager to face the mega-corporation head-on. Kiwi, burdened by the weight of her recent betrayal, joins the team. The narrative flashes back to Faraday's orchestrated capture of Lucy, revealing her drastic measures. erasing David's files and sacrificing Maine and Dorio as attempts to shield him from Arasaka's plans to turn him into a lab subject for the Sandevistan. Faraday and Kiwi delve into Lucy's past as a child netrunner for Arasaka, discussing her sacrifices and the lengths she went to protect David. Unaware of this deeper context, the crew eagerly prepares for the heist. Becca, however, notices David's declining condition and vows to keep his struggles hidden from the others. On the barren desert highway, Faraday's plan unfolds as another gang, unknowingly part of the scheme, ambushes the Arasaka convoy. David's crew engages the remaining security, leading to a dramatic vehicular clash with Arasaka forces. The heist takes an unforeseen twist when the cargo truck is revealed to be impervious, designed to challenge David with Arasaka's advanced cyber exoskeleton. As Militech forces intervene, David dons the cyberskeleton and faces their assault. The ensuing battle highlights the exoskeleton's advanced capabilities, transforming David into a formidable opponent against Militech's elite. Becca and Falco watch in awe as David showcases the suit's power, though they are acutely aware of the strain it places on his neural system. With David emerging victorious over Militech, he resolves to track down Faraday and rescue Lucy, setting the stage for a climactic confrontation. David, deceived by Faraday into becoming a test subject for Arasaka's experimental cyberskeleton, now wields extraordinary powers with a single goal: to rescue Lucy. Held captive by Faraday in an AV en route to Arasaka Tower, Lucy's fate rests in David's hands. Yet, David's newfound abilities come at a steep price. The advanced cyberpsychosis induced by the cyberskeleton accelerates, and the military-grade suppressants he secured from Doc, 9 times stronger than standard ones, are rapidly running out. Rebecca, Falco, and David set off towards Arasaka Tower in their getaway vehicle, pursued relentlessly by both Militech and Arasaka. Kiwi, who had betrayed them, tries to flee the city but is forced to return. Faraday, furious over Kiwi's betrayal, demands she collect her payment in person. Upon arrival, Kiwi is fatally shot by Faraday. Before dying, she calls Falco and Rebecca, giving them the coordinates of Faraday's AV. In her final moments, Kiwi manages to decapitate one of Faraday's goons. David, Falco, and Rebecca expertly evade their pursuers through a mix of combat and driving prowess. Behind the scenes, Arasaka counterintelligence agents, Kate and Douglas, having conspired with Faraday under the pretense of money and employment, plan their own betrayal. They enlist the infamous Night City boogeyman, Adam Smasher, to deal with David and thwart Faraday's progress. Adam, unfazed, notes a critical weakness in the cyberskeleton's anti-gravity system. David parts ways with Rebecca and Falco, who crash their vehicle into Faraday's AV before plunging to the plaza below Arasaka Tower. Surrounded by soldiers, Rebecca and Falco are quickly overpowered. Meanwhile, David, on his last vial of suppressants, ascends to the top of Arasaka Tower and declares he has fulfilled his mother's dream. He reflects on Doc's prophecy of his fate and accepts his inevitable end. Faraday arrives at the tower to exchange Lucy for his promised payment and position, only to be told by Douglas that he will receive money alone for failing to deliver the test data. David arrives, swiftly dispatching the soldiers and freeing Lucy. As David attempts to shoot Douglas, Adam Smasher intercepts the bullet. Faraday, declaring he has fulfilled his part of the deal, is then attacked by David, who generates a gravity field that severs Faraday's leg. A fierce exchange of insults ensues between David and Adam. Trauma team arrives to aid Faraday, momentarily distracting David, who is shot in the stomach by Adam. Activating his Sandevistan, David eliminates the trauma team and tries to escape with Lucy. Adam retaliates with an RPG round, sending David and Faraday's stretcher hurtling from the building. In mid-air, Lucy revives David from a cyberpsychosis episode with a kiss. Against the moonlit sky, they share their desire to protect each other and their dream of reaching the moon. Their moment is interrupted by Adam Smasher's gunfire from an elevator. David lands safely on the Edgerunner's escape vehicle using anti-grav technology, where Falco and Rebecca are locked in a standoff with Arasaka troops. Faraday crashes to the ground, reduced to a bloody mess. After placing Lucy in the escape vehicle, David asks Falco for an off-screen favor. Rebecca, while expressing her relief to have Lucy back for David's sake, spots Adam Smasher descending towards them. She attempts to shoot him, only to be crushed under his weight as the plaza collapses into a subterranean area. Falco, enraged by Rebecca's death, tries to confront Adam but is incapacitated by a powerful punch. David, activating his Sandevistan, attempts to battle Smasher but is outmaneuvered. Shocked to discover Adam's own Sandevistan, David realizes Adam considers it a rudimentary implant. Adam insists he plans to kill them all, regardless. At that moment, David collapses, weakened by the lack of suppressants. Lucy, seeing David vulnerable, tries to hack Smasher but fails as her OS is fried. Falco, taking Lucy to the escape vehicle, starts to flee. As Adam fires at them, David blindsides him with a gravity field, only to see Adam, enraged, dismantle the cyberskeleton's anti-grav generators. Adam proceeds to savagely beat David. Lucy, watching from afar, pleads with Falco to turn back, but he refuses, honoring David's final wish to ensure Lucy's safety and the reward money. In his last moments, David laughs, seemingly at peace with his fate. When Adam suggests David could become an interesting construct, David dismisses the idea. Adam then ends David's life with a fatal shot to the head. Later, Lucy is seen dejectedly aboard a shuttle to the moon. Upon arrival, she visits a spot reminiscent of the brain dance she shared with David. There, she experiences a vision of David, exuberant about the sun's warmth, as he was in their shared memory. Overcome with grief, she smiles through tears, then closes her eyes, embraces the sun, and basks in its warmth.